now I am starting to involve a little bit more finger training in what I do. I wouldn't call it, grip training necessarily, but just finger training where the stuff is more pulling into my fingers.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So I hate grip training. Not that I'm not going to say hate. It's a crazy word because I don't want to offend the guys that love it, but I do hate it.
Yeah.
And so I don't do it.
Yeah.
So you feel the same way. Isn't it interesting that just from training arm wrestling, your grip is going to get better? So it's like, just train arm wrestling and see how it goes, because why fuck with your grip? Just try to get better at arm wrestling and then see where the weakness is.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
However, I will say that now I grab stuff differently. Now that I've got arm wrestling on the brain.
So what are you doing?
So for example, when I do my dumbbell rows, I want to cup the dumbbell while I row. And I have the strength to do it, but it makes the row feel weird. Whereas before, I would never even think like my hand would just bend back, because when you grip something hard, it'll naturally bend back a little bit, right? But now when I feel it bending back, I'm like, no, cup it in. And then like my row feels weird.
Yeah.
So now I just grab stuff weird. I'm not at the phase where I'm like fully immersed into arm wrestling yet, where like I do everything that way.
Right.
But I'm still like 1 foot in, 1 foot out in terms of what my brain thinks it's doing.
Well, that's
so I just
funny
grab stuff weird. Yeah.
because I do the same thing. So as soon as I realized almost a year ago that when I'm training for whatever the fuck for health, when I'm doing my gym stuff, that I should be doing it for arm wrestling, but I wasn't doing arm wrestling specific training yet. I was doing stuff like that immediately. So like if I'm going to do barbell rows, I'm going to do them with some flexion.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I've been training all my life to deliberately never do that. So like when I would teach friends that don't really know how to lift and they want me to like just show them the ropes for a few weeks, I would watch them, and let's say they are construction workers and they're, for some reason, they love flexion and they're always doing flexion. A lot of times I'd see these guys, they'd be rowing, and as they're trying to get the row up, they start going like this, and I'd have to yell at them and go, no, look what you're doing with your wrists. Keep it straight. And they would struggle to keep it straight.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to do everything wrong so that I can arm wrestle.
Right.
Those guys that were doing it naturally wrong are probably going to be really good at arm wrestling. And I'm yelling at them to undo it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, to some degree, it's a natural thing. When you cup your wrist in, it makes the lever a little bit shorter for your bicep, right? So
or when you're doing curls, you want to finish them, you want to do this, right?
Exactly. Now, I tell my clients not to do that.
Right. Because you're not supposed to, but in arm wrestling.
They're not arm wrestlers, right? Yeah. But I'm like, no, we're trying to develop your biceps here. Like, try to leave your hand out of it a little bit more.
Like the crazy thing where you could do the bicep curl, and at the top, you drop your wrists.
Yes.
That's opposite of arm wrestling.
I mean, I've tried to do that in the past. Like, it's always felt a little bit weird for me, but now I would never dream of doing that. And now, like, my wrist never bends back, unless I'm doing like specific kickback extensor, forearm extensor exercises. Everything
for a purpose.
Yeah.